Hello. Can you
Hey,
hear
how's
me?
it going? I can. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, perfect. Okay. I'm doing all
Awesome.
right. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Did you work from home today?
Yep. Probably be working from here for another month or so.
Do you guys have like do they have an official end date or anything like that yet?
We were told, so first we were told April 13th. And
Mhm.
then when they pushed out the shelter in place to May 3rd, that was the new assumed uh, return date. But I have a feeling that they're going to tell us that we don't need to go back to the office if we're not comfortable because there's probably 5,000 people in Bishop Ranch between the two buildings that we have. So, yeah, I imagine they're going to let us continue to work from home if we'd like to.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty packed. I didn't realize there were that many people at Bishop Ranch.
They're pretty big floors. We have two buildings. The first one is 5 floors, and the second one I think is six. So,
Huh.
yeah, pretty big.
Oh,
How about
wow.
you?
I'm also working from home. I'm kind of used to it though, because I consult. So I do a lot of my work from home anyway.
Hmm.
But it's definitely, a lot of my work is also in person. So some of those things are now kind of indefinitely postponed until it makes sense to meet in person or until we figure out kind of how to, take care of some of the other loose ends in order to make that other stuff happen remotely.
Yeah, yeah, better safe, and stay away from people.
I think, unfortunately.
Yeah. Before we get
Well,
started, can
yeah.
we? Does it rotate when I rotate my phone as well? Am I sideways
It
or am I
does.
straight up still?
No, you have a nice like landscape view going on now.
Okay, let me
And
try to
I
make
can
that
see
eye
your short.
level.
I can see your shirt.
Oh yeah, I'm wearing it today for Rotary Day.
All right. Did you do anything else related?
No, I actually wear this and the gray one that I got quite often around the house.
Oh, nice. I'm sure Colette will
Yeah,
be really happy.
I'm sure she would be. She should be
Hi,
proud.
Colette. Maybe she'll watch this later when it's recorded.
I'm sure she will.
Thanks for chatting with me.
Of course.
Yeah, I just thought it would be a good time to kind of like, some people have a little bit more bandwidth. A lot of us are working from home, and I thought it would be cool to kind of learn a little bit more about different people in the club. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, certainly have bandwidth.
Yeah. So obviously you're one of the newer members. I don't think you're quite the youngest member. I don't know, but I think Colette's daughter, McKenna, might be younger than you.
Okay.
Have you
Yeah,
met
I think
McKenna?
I have.
Yeah.
She was at one of the meetings, I want to say about 2 or 3 months ago. But she
Mhm.
she does the karate, correct?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
martial
I met
arts.
her.
Yeah. I don't know if she technically does karate or another form of martial arts, but again, Colette can correct us when you watches
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's probably only two of us or three of us then that are, sub 30.
Yeah, the sub 30 crew. But yeah, like I would love to just hear more about you. I know you were a greeter recently, but I don't know, like where were you born and raised?
um I was born in Oakland, but
Okay.
grew up my whole life in Concord. And I have a twin brother and an older sister by 2 years. Um, Me and my brother are pretty competitive.
Oh
We
yeah.
did a lot of sports growing up. Um, we rode a lot of dirt bikes, played a lot of football, played basketball. We were on the swim team, which is some good old times.
So did you
um,
ever like a lot of the time actually directly compete against each other? Like were you ever in the two lanes next to each other?
oh yeah, yeah. So we did swimming from about 7 to 13 or 14. It was like right before we started high school because we decided to play football instead.
Mhm.
And there were a few times when he would be in the lane next to me, and it'd be my good stroke. It'd be like butterfly or breaststroke, and that's not his best. So I would just like slow down and let him beat me a few times here and there. But
like, did you let him actually beat you, or did you just kind of slow down and at the end you just like race forward to
no,
win?
I let him beat me.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we always joked around in swimming. They used to get really upset with us diving at the bottom of the pool and just hanging out down there. You know how coaches are with kids. So,
So did you go to like high school in Concord?
Yes, Ignacio Valley. So I went
cool.
Ignacio Valley Elementary, and then Sequoia Middle School, and then Ignacio Valley High School.
I might have done, I used to do cross country. I might have gone to some kind of cross country meet at your school.
That you probably have.
Do you guys have a very large meet or something?
I wouldn't say very large. Our cross country team wasn't that big though. So there was maybe like 20 people on the whole cross country high school team. But yeah, I'm not too sure about how big the meets were.
Yeah, I don't know. That name sounds really familiar, but I'm also born and raised in the Bay Area, so maybe I just recognize it. Yeah. You and your brother did a lot of like the same sports together kind of growing up?
Yeah. Like besides actual schoolwork and hanging out with buddies, you know, I always like to do art. I think I mentioned that.
Oh yeah, we saw all of your amazing artwork.
Yeah. Some of them were on display. Some of them are still at my girlfriend's house, and
you said some of them were too X-rated.
Maybe.
That's really cool. So I do a little bit of art myself. I studied design, but like I don't do as much as you do at all. I'm currently practicing watercolor and learning that.
That's tough.
Yeah, it's kind of tough, but it's kind of easier at the same time. Like there's a couple things that I can be really good at. I'm good at kind of like copy drawing. So if I see something, I can do a rendition of that like pretty easily. I'm not as good as drawing from my imagination. That's something I have to work on. But like watercolor is kind of interesting because I'm watching some tutorials and you just kind of let it go where it goes with an idea in your head, and then you like maneuver it, and it kind of turns into like actually looking like something without trying too hard, I feel like.
I'm not that great at watercolor, but I'd like to see some of your work.
I just did one piece so far. I'll show you that.
Okay.
Yeah. But I did have an idea. I just earlier today when I was thinking about our call, I thought it would be cool if at some point, one of our happy hours, maybe you could teach us a virtual art class for like 5 minutes. Or 10 minutes.
I could try.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be funny? I was just imagining like all of our club members, like everybody trying to draw what you're telling us, and then we're all looking at each other's work afterwards and seeing what everybody created.
Everybody would compare.
Yeah. Yeah, you should definitely consider that. I feel like it would be fun.
Yeah, maybe the next happy hour.
Yeah, cool. I'll mention it to Carolyn.
Okay.
Yeah. So how did you first get into Rotary? I think you said your dad was a Rotarian or is?
No, it was my uncle.
Oh, yeah.
So, he's a Rotarian. He was a past president for his club up in Jacksonville, Oregon. It's pretty much it's at the southern border next to like Klamath Falls and Medford. And every time I would go up there, he would always, have these Rotary activities. And kind of that's where I first learned about the club because, you see the signs, you see the gear. When you go into a new city, it's usually on that welcome to, this city. It's on that board. And he was telling me about, the projects that they do. And, it's for the community, benefits, lot of selfless people. Mm-hmm. So, I went to a couple of his things up there in Oregon, and it just had a really good vibe. And especially, having already meeting the club here in San Ramon, it just felt like a perfect fit. And
so you kind of already met the club here and then you went up to Oregon?
Yeah. And was helped him out with one or two of his activities up there. And I was already maybe 2 months in with this club before I, red badged. Mm-hmm. But I think more so along the lines of like, why did I join? There was a lot of free time that I wanted to, try to better myself and, help the community. I didn't have much community service beforehand. And I think I've, found the club that I can, start helping out and having a good relationship with everybody in the club. And I understand that, I'm probably one of the younger guys, but Yay. I've always gotten along with people that were older than me. So
same here.
Yeah, it's a little easier actually to approach people that are older than you, in my opinion.
And I always found that people who were older than me approached me at random places too. Do you ever have that happen to you?
Yeah. I don't know what it is these days, but I feel the same way. And, mm-hmm. After the first couple meetings, it felt right. I didn't have to go to any other clubs, although people said, "Oh no, you should go to this club and that club." It felt right at the San Ramon Rotary Club. So kind of a background on why I joined. And
yeah, that's awesome. So what, like, if you were to think about the next couple of years and what would be kind of a really cool thing you could accomplish being a Rotarian, what does that look like? What would you want to do?
I always hear about these Rotary trips, humanitarian trips down in South America, and especially the one that they did recently with the wheelchairs. I've also heard about ones where they build homes, and I think that would be a lot of fun, just using your construction skills and background and being able to see people, have a new home would be really rewarding. So I would like to do one of those trips for sure, whether it's, South America or across, the Pacific or Atlantic somewhere, but that would be a lot of fun.
Super cool. Yeah. I feel like there's something about like creating and building with your hands and then doing that in service of others. Like there's something really special about that.
There is. Yeah.
I guess because we like art and we like building and creating. So it's a version of that, right?
As long as it comes out right.
It's like, hey, we built you a house, but you won't be able to use it. But the roof's falling down. I'm sure there's plenty of Rotarians with construction skills that would make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and I think most of the time they probably, do joint efforts for those kind of trips. So
yeah, like with Habitat for Humanity.
Yeah,
that's a good one. So tell me more about what you do. I know we kind of touched on it a little bit, and I think I feel like I remember you mentioning you switched roles or companies a couple months ago.
Yeah, so for the first 3 years out of college, I was on the contractor side working in natural gas engineering, mainly for PG&E. I had some projects in New York for Consolidated Edison and People's Gas in Chicago. They were really, it was a pretty big variety of work. It wasn't very specialized into one. It just wasn't specific. I'll put it that way. And then I joined PG&E in October, and I'm part of the pipeline and engineering design group. And we're about 30 people large for this group. And we specifically do all of the designing and engineering of new pipelines or replacement pipelines or replacement valves, because it's a big network of transmission line throughout all of California. So we get gas from the northern border up by Oregon, and then we also get gas from Arizona. And it kind of goes through Bakersfield and then up the Central Valley. So that's pretty much PG&E's territory. I wish I had the numbers of how many miles of pipeline we have. I think it's like 10,000 miles of actual pipeline, and it has all of our operations must adhere to the federal code. So, and that code is just continuously being updated and updated. So our lines have to be sometimes replaced, sometimes they have to be tested to be requalified, and then there's a lot of like emergency work that happens. I mean, somebody just ran through one of the stations that was fenced off and bent some of the equipment, and we had to like reduce.
Like they drove through it?
Yeah, somebody fell asleep at the wheel and drove through one of the fence and hit some of the equipment, and then we had to like reduce the pressure on one of the lines. So there's a lot of like random engineering tasks. So especially if you like find a leak or something. So most of the time, whether it's however bad the leak is, you give it a grade, and then it has to be, fixed within a certain time frame. So, customers are probably our biggest ally in finding, leaks here and there, because they're at the source. There's a lot of people that find leaks right at the meter outside their home. And then there's people that, they could smell it in parks and whatnot. So it's always advisable, call 911. They'll tell us, hey, this is PG&E, and then we'll get out there. But for the most part, what I do is mainly all the transmission line work. So, but I've been in the group for 6 months.
Okay. So when it comes to like the engineering and design part, I studied product design and mechanical engineering, and I worked as a mechanical engineer early on in my career first, but in medical devices. And I had a boss at the time who had some experience in like aeronautical engineering, and working at, I don't know if he worked at NASA. It was either NASA or another government environment organization. And he said that there's a lot of, because there's so many regulations around everything, all of the engineers you work on a very specific piece of the grand total. Does that kind of carry over to what you do?
Yeah, certainly. So there's so many different departments in the transmission umbrella. So you have transmission, which is 60 pounds and over in the pipeline, and then you have distribution, which is 60 pounds and less. There's give or take some exceptions to that, but within the transmission line, you have integrity management, you have engineers, you have designers, you have project managers, you have testing, non-destructive examinations, you have operation maintenance. I mean, it goes on and on. And I would say maybe about 60% of the people under that umbrella are engineers. They went to college and got the degree, and then there's certain trades to become a technician or a mechanic where you don't need to be a college grad, but they still fall under that umbrella. But in terms of like specifics, once you're in a group, your scope is really defined. It went from big to like really small. So like I said, from my group, it's mainly just pipeline replacement, valve replacement, and then upgrading the system. And then like if you're on the planning side, you're doing hydraulic analysis saying, hey, we can have a new customer come off of this line, and we still have adequate pressure in the pipeline. And then if you were to go to like integrity management, I mean, these guys just work on spreadsheets the whole day and look for like corrosion or cracking data, when they have to requalify or testing pipes. I mean, they have their whole own section of the federal code that they have to pretty much dial in. So,
wow,
it's pretty amazing how many stakeholders are contributing to a single project. I mean, there's probably like 15 to 20 of us that all have our own specific tasks. So
yeah, this is awesome. I feel like we kind of interact with so many different things in our life on a daily basis and all of these resources that support us, but we don't know the intricacies of what it takes to build and maintain every single one of those. And so I don't know, I just feel like from talking to you, I'm learning a lot about how this world works that I didn't know about earlier.
I can imagine that this is the same for, electricity. They have their whole stakeholders and everybody has their specific part. And then especially water too. I mean, they're laying pipe in the ground as well, sewer systems, that's not flammable or explosive, but they still have to go through the same set of regulations and code, and there's a lot of, as I'm starting to do more projects, there's a lot of like biology and environmental impacts that you have to, check the boxes like, okay, is there mercury here? What's the soil type here? And, we have a lot of experts that, geotechnical experts and then structural experts that are able to, manipulate these calculations and say, hey, yeah, we can do this. This is feasible. And then sometimes you say, hey, we have to do it something different. So it kind of opens your eyes to like seeing, other utilities. And this is like everywhere. And it doesn't matter what kind of utility, just what it takes to have a finished product and a safe product at that. So yeah, definitely a lot of minds going into these projects.
Yeah, eye-opening. So what's the impact of COVID-19 been on your work and so far?
It's tough. I mean, they told if you're able to work from home, then you must work from home. Of course, there's certain departments that have to show up to the office. We have pretty much, what do I call it? It's like the security hub for gas operations as well as electric operations. And these are the guys that are looking at, these big screens and saying, okay, is there an outage or did we just burst a pipe or do we have to close something? And they have to work 24/7 and it has to be manned by 3 or more people. And for them to have to keep 6 feet apart distance, wear masks is kind of tough, but it's much easier for the rest of us because, we're all working from home. They did defer a lot of projects out of Q2 and Q3 of the year. So they're hoping that by Q4 and maybe next year, they could kind of pick everything back up. It's tough for PG&E though, because we're going to have more contracting services to help us complete these projects. So right now for 2020, we are just completing really the most impactful and important jobs and ones that have like really hard compliance dates. And we have to somehow utilize our workforce to make sure that we get these projects completed. And the ones that, we were going to complete beforehand, like before the compliance date, those are all getting pushed out. But like I said, the longer this coronavirus keeps people, 6 feet apart from each other, the more backed up, our projects will become. And then the more manpower we're going to need from, contractors to, help us complete these. So for the most part, contractors always help with construction. PG&E has a really small construction group, and we always give them the projects first to say, hey, do you guys want this, or should we, find a contractor for it? And right now they're going to take majority of the work, just because they're available. But when, they get, 50 jobs to do in a month, we're going to need some help. So,
yeah,
but we're definitely still working. It's just a matter of trying to stay busy and remain focused.
How was that transition for you? Like, did you do you have any kind of equipment and stuff as a part of your setup that you needed to migrate over, or is most of your
I
work just on
wish
the computer?
I brought my laptop and my charger and my
Uh-huh.
Ergo keyboard and mouse, and then just a couple binders. I left, my standing in my desk that I can stand up or lower down.
Yeah.
I have two pretty big monitors that are still at my desk at the office.
Mm-hmm.
I think the hardest part is using a non-ergo chair. So I'm just sitting in a regular poker chair rather than a computer chair.
Yeah.
So, but they did give us some guidance saying, you guys could take a little bit longer of a break,
Mm-hmm.
instead of maybe 30 minutes for lunch, take an hour and then take, 30-minute breaks every couple hours type of deal.
Mm.
So they understand that we're going to lose some sort of productivity, but
Mm-hmm.
they definitely want us to, remain healthy and injury free.
Yeah, that's good. How have you been coping with, everything that's happening and kind of staying sane, and what kinds of tips do you have to offer to, I don't know, to others based on your experience?
So I don't know, for what it's worth, I don't watch the news. My mom and dad, they always update me on the news and what's going on. I just look at the markets and see if they're going up or down. I take a look at the numbers here and there. I try not to look every day. I don't look at, graphs saying, okay, we're now going straight up or anything. I try to just control what I can control. I don't go out to go shopping much. If I do, it's usually at night.
Yeah.
And then I still get exercise in at least every other day. And I do a lot of cycling. So I usually just go up Diablo and back. But
Mm-hmm.
I know there's pros and cons to it. Yeah, you're staying healthy, but you're also risking, taking a hospital bed from somebody if you get hurt or something. But, there's,
Oh, I didn't think about that.
yeah,
Yeah.
but there's not many cars on the road. So the likelihood is, you would hope, is a little less. But then again, people
Mm-hmm.
drive crazier when the roads
When
are
there's
open.
less traffic. Yeah. I heard about that.
So, but
Mm-hmm.
keeping sane, I still, FaceTime a lot of my friends and still try to get exercise and get outside, and yeah, try not to focus on the news and the numbers, because
Yeah.
it could really drag you down sometimes.
Yeah. And it's always kind of like up and down, or down, down, down. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
I think for us,
mm-hmm.
We're still early in our careers. It's a little easier to look at the market, but I know people that are, got a couple years left for retirement, they're probably a little concerned.
Yeah. Yeah. That's got to be a little unnerving, of course, especially if you've invested a lot of your money in
Oh
stocks
yeah.
and the market. Are you an investor?
I just try to get into, investing about 2 years ago. I opened up a brokerage account, and I'm not
Mm-hmm.
some big investor or anything. I put in a couple bucks here and there during, every paycheck. So
Yeah.
but
I invest a little bit, but I'm also still kind of in the learning process. I wasn't, my dad always used to tell me about investing and was like really, pushing financial education for the longest time. And I think finally, like a couple of years ago, it started kind of trickling in. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll start to
yeah.
do these things. But for some reason this year, I've just been particularly interested. And I ended up investing a little bit of money into the market right before the coronavirus stuff happened. But it wasn't like all of my monies or anything like that. So it's not too
Yeah.
bad. But yeah, but I think it's also like hands-on experience in some ways of this is how, life is. And that's a part of investing is like once you kind of put your money in there and then something happens, you really learn those
Yeah.
lessons about what it's like.
I think this is a pretty good learning opportunity. for young investors, because, like you said, we don't have all our eggs in the basket, with our 401ks. Yeah. But, not our whole life savings are in mutual funds or anything. But for a young investor who is willing to, gamble a little bit, I think these are definitely the times to, start.
Yeah.
Might see some good returns, but yeah, it's a tough time though. I mean, I feel for a lot of people that, are going to have to work a couple years longer now, especially those that are no longer working. It's tough. So,
yeah. Well, we'll keep moving forward. Keep providing inspiration and service to Rotary, right?
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Yeah. Well, thanks for chatting.
Yeah, thank you, Priya. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about? Or
how are you coping with life at home?
I'm okay. I'm usually a pretty active person, or extremely active, I think, and I spend a lot of time outside and at different places. I work a lot from like coffee shops, and I go to the gym a lot. So that's been different, but it hasn't felt too bad yet. I think mostly I've just really been, staying at home in order to keep myself healthy and keep other people healthy. And that's the most important thing right now. So yeah, it's just I've just been taking it in stride.
Yeah, hopefully sooner, rather than later, we can finally go outside again, especially with the nice weather we're having.
Yeah. Well, reminder for the art class during happy hour, I'm going to send Carolyn an email about it right now.
Okay.
And maybe we'll see if we can make that happen for a few minutes. I think that would be really fun.
Yeah, it's probably going to have to be pencil or pen, because I don't think everybody has paint or pastel or charcoal. So,
yeah.
I guess I'll try to brainstorm something.
Cool.
And, keep an eye out for the next, happy hour.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. I'm excited about that. Cool. Well, I'll see you then. And thank you so much for chatting with me.
Of course. You take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.